almost there. No way. What is this? You're tuned in to the Eyes Open podcast, where secrets aren't safe and we see it all.
All right, before we jump into today's show, I want to send a big shout out to not only the subscribers out there, but also to all of the people that supported the show this far. You guys are phenomenal. Without you guys, the show wouldn't be possible. I had quite a few people reach out lately with some great suggestion for show, not just show ideas, but that they wanted me to touch on, but with some really great encouraging words. And I want to let you guys know it does not go unnoticed. I appreciate each and every one of you. And to be completely honest, I appreciate the haters too, because you guys are a driving force as well, for not just motivation reasons, but you don't realize that it's kind of crazy in this sense. The people that hate you are the ones that end up commenting on your page more than anything. And that's what I've noticed. Now, don't get me wrong. You can dislike somebody and just tell them that, not actually dislike somebody. Because me personally, if I dislike somebody and I have words with you, I'm just going to say what I have to say and move on. I'm not going to sit there and truly, I've done it before with people, but my days of, the back and forth is no more. I don't got it in me, and I'm not going to do it. Speaking of, here in a week, turning the big 40. So I'm going to be 40 years old now. I'm ready for my midlife crisis, and I don't have time for the BS anymore. I really just don't got time for it. So I'm not going to be entertaining that. I have way too busy. Honestly, with all the stuff we have coming up with the show, I have my hands completely full. There's going to be some amazing stuff that's going to be coming by the end of summer that's going on with the Eyes Open podcast, and I'm focusing on that. I'm not focusing on negativity no more with people. I'm not focusing on a lot of stuff. There's going to be, for me, when you reach a certain age, you got to look back at stuff. You got to kind of recalibrate your life, look at decisions, look at things that need to be decisions that need to be made, but also loose ends that need to be cut off. And that's exactly what I'm doing. It's a recalibration of my life. And there's a lot of people, discussions, and just things in general that aren't going to make that cut. So this year going forward into the future, we're trimming the fat. But yeah, that's something I just wanted to definitely get out of the way. And honestly, today's episode is going to be a good little break from the norm of the politics and all the stuff that's going on in the world. Because believe you and me, when I first started the show, a lot of it was based in more conspiracy, the mysteries of the occult. We talked, and obviously at the forefront of everything, I base what I say on scripture, on my faith. So I want to get back more into the faith-based type discussions. I want to make sure God's being put first, but there's certain things. It gets a point where you have to report on it, because there's been so much going on, and then especially I get people left and right saying, "Hey, this happened with Trump. Can you comment on it?" And Trump's just such a polarizing figure in the world, especially with the predictions I've made about this guy, that there's stuff that you just have to talk about. And there's a very interesting video that has to do with him that I'll be posting today that I think you guys are going to find pretty freaking interesting. And it's only lending more credence to what I was saying about him in general. So I think you guys are going to find that very interesting. So check that out on the Reels page. Oh, also be sure to go and follow us on Twitter. I originally was not going to set up a Twitter page, because I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I'm Twitter illiterate. I don't mess with Twitter really. I really don't. I just never have. I've never understood the tweets and stuff like that. I've just never been a person to tweet, so to speak. So, but we do have a Twitter now. It's at Eyes Open Podcast. Check it out. Go follow us over there on Twitter. There's also going to be some special merch giveaways. There's going to be all types of cool stuff we're going to be doing over there for the show. So there'll be some exclusive things we will be doing on the Twitter. And I finally, because I didn't know how the videos and stuff works over there, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and, set one up. So that way, if people want to follow us over there, because maybe there's some people on Twitter that, aren't on Facebook, people on Facebook that aren't on Instagram, it's kind of interchangeably and vice versa, so to speak. So I wanted to get that out of the way because there's a few announcements before we jump into today's show, because I think you guys are going to really enjoy this one today. But yeah, as always, big shout out. Also, big shout out to our sponsors over at Prima. You guys need to go check out Prima. I love this stuff. Greatest protein bars on planet Earth. No seed oils, no garbage, only natural ingredients. And honestly, the only protein bar that I know that's sweetened with honey. All these other ones is sweetened with, if they're the sugar-free stuff that people are on diets trying to get healthier, they don't have none of the sucralose garbage crap in it. But it's actually good for you, sweetened with honey. All natural ingredients. Join the fight against fake food. Check out the link in the comments. You'll get 15% off your order. Be sure to check out Prima. And I thank everybody over at Prima for always supporting the show. So without further ado, let's jump right in, because today's going to be an interesting topic that's definitely going into the Red Files. And I think my people up in Appalachian area, because it spans through a lot of states, a lot of areas, but in West Virginia to be specific, because now that we're going to be aired up in the Appalachian area in War, West Virginia on the FM station up there, I think that's really cool. Got much love for all my Appalachian people. Me personally, my family comes from that area, so it's, a lot of love to West Virginia. That's on my dad's side. My people settled there back in the 1700s, mixed with the Native Americans over there, and they're still up there. A lot of my family's still up there in West Virginia in the Appalachian area. And I've always had much love for everybody up there in West Virginia. So big shout out to everybody that's listening in West Virginia on the FM station. If you're listening, because the thing is with the show, to get the full experience, if you really want to get on the Facebook page, watch the show, because there's a lot of stuff, in a lot of episodes I show visual aids and stuff. Or like, for example, I'm going to show some clips and stuff of different things that have to do with today's show. You won't be able to see it, obviously, if you're listening on the radio, but if you want to be sure to check out the Facebook, facebook.com/Eyes Open Podcast. That goes for anybody, depending on, where you're watching. Could be YouTube, Rumble, wherever you're watching from, Instagram. And that's the thing with Instagram too. If you're watching on Instagram, if the shows go over a certain amount, I forget what it is. It's like 18 minutes or something like that. But if it goes over a certain amount of time, the episodes get cut off. But the main hub, you can always find us, is on Facebook. That's where a lot of the people gravitate more towards. So Instagram's starting to take off decently too. So Instagram's a good place to find us. But if you want the full episodes, be sure to check us out on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Eyes Open Podcast. But today's episode, as I said, it's kind of interesting because I've been meaning to do an episode about this for a while now. And because I posted videos about it in the past, I've talked about it in the past, but I've never dedicated a full episode to it. And no time's more fitting than the present, being that now I'm being played on an FM station up in the Appalachian region. So I think that's pretty cool, and I think you guys are going to find this pretty interesting. Now, today's episode, we're going to talk about some really crazy anomalies, mysteries, and strange things that happen up in the Appalachian Mountains. Now, not only do I have family from the region, but I have a lot of friends that currently live in that region, are from that region, and I hear a lot of crazy, crazy stuff. And it's even more than just every once in a while, if I'm watching something on TikTok and I'll run across something about, the Appalachian Mountains or something that somebody caught on camera. Now, there's one video that's been making its rounds right now on the internet that I'd seen, and everybody, they play it off as like, because we got to remember, we live in the age where people are going to make videos that are not real. They're gonna run skits, and they're probably gonna get millions of views out of it. So we're living in the content creators age. So, and not only that, we're living in AI age. So that makes you wonder if what you're even seeing is real. So it gets crazy. Like back in the day, we would see a video with something somebody caught that was an anomaly of some sort, and people could, look at it and say, this is really weird. What is this? And you could tell, unless somebody had some really good editing software, there's no production value behind what they're doing at all. So there's, they're not showing you something that, they put a bunch of editing software on and did stuff with. But nowadays, I mean, freaking 10-year-old kid with an AI software can, make a video that looks believable as ever. And the softwares are out there. Like a lot of the stuff you guys see with Sora and all these other apps, there's some apps tucked away that a lot of people don't know about, that the AI's guaranteed for. Now, people like me, I can spot it. There's certain anomalies you got to look for inside of AI videos to know if they're made up, or or if it actually is AI versus reality. But some of them are pretty good. I'll give them that. There are these types of softwares out here though that are almost indistinguishable though from reality for most people. So you can definitely fool people with a lot of these videos. Now, the video I'm gonna bring up and show you guys, it's not AI. It's somebody did film this video, but it's one of those things like you have to trust the person that's filming it, and we don't even know who the person is who filmed the video. So you have to trust that they're putting out a video. And like I said, they're going to do it for clicks, they're going to do it for views. When money's involved, there's going to be all types of, fake stuff floating around on the internet, and people are going to do it, like I said, just for the clicks. But this particular video is somebody that was up hiking in the Appalachian Mountains. Now, as I'd said, the Appalachian Mountains, for the people that know and actually live in that region, know that there's all types of stuff that goes on up there that's very strange. I mean, you hear everything from skinwalkers to, the list is endless, to mimics. And if people don't know what a mimic is, it's like you'll hear somebody that sounds like somebody or might even hear your own voice out at night, out in your yard, and they say never answer these things if you hear them. So all types of crazy stuff. And I've seen some crazy videos going back even before AI. I remember I seen some I wish I could find them. There's some pretty strange videos from back in about 2009 or 2010 that were pretty freaking weird. But the video that I'm talking about right now, there's somebody walking around hiking. I guess it was him and his girlfriend or something. And somebody starts like following behind them. And they're wearing this like creepy mask. Okay. And it looks like it's a girl. And she's following behind them. And they said it was weird because it was like a human trying to act like it was like some type of thing that was trying to mimic a human voice, because as the more it talked, it got like gurgled and stuff like that. But I'm going to go ahead and roll the clip. Check this out.
Where'd you just come from? I took the wrong way. Oh my goodness.
Did you see my other two guys? What?
What?
Did you see my other two guys?
Did we see your other two guys? No.
You're supposed to go that way.
No, we're not supposed to go that way.
No.
Want to meet them?
No, we don't want to meet him.
I don't want to meet him.
How about not? I don't know.
If you go the other way, you don't gotta go over the tree.
I don't know, it sounds like she's gargling water.
Blah, blah.
Something over the tree. Oh my goodness.
What?
I thought that was somebody else.
Got a question.
She's trying to speak to our channel right now.
YouTubers, should I wear my orange outfit with this? Like the blue?
Oh my
Are you
God.
kidding me right now? She's asking people for what? Oh, why am I? Help me! Oh my goodness! Can't get over that? No! She said, "Here I come." She said, "What?" Oh my God! I don't. My pants are wet.
Oh my God. What, you been playing in the water again?
No, that's free.
Or did you pee your pants?
That's free.
Man, she switched her voice.
Really fast.
Yeah.
Hi, YouTubers.
Oh my God. She loves doing that.
So like I said, I mean, it's not the most disturbing video, obviously. It's just a little, on the, how would you put, strange side? Just that somebody was following them around up there. And I mean, like I said, it could be those three people were walking around up there and they came up with the idea and threw the person a mask and said, hey, put this mask on and we're going to say that you were following us around and just kind of make a gurgly sound with your voice when you talk, and we're going to throw it on the internet and get 1 million views. So more than likely, hey, that's probably what happened maybe. But I can tell you this. Whether they made the video or this person did walk up on them and was a human and was doing this, I can tell you one thing, okay? Do not screw around with people hiking around in the woods and doing stuff like that. Because what I would have liked to seen in that video, if, I'm not the person to go out and go hiking around up in mountains that I don't know. I'm just not, I'm not that, I'm not that white. I'm not that kind of person that's going rock climbing and doing all that type of stuff. I don't go trek around in places that I don't know. For me, I got a lot of country in me, but I got a lot of, I also was born in the city. So I got the mixture of both, and the street smarts I've learned growing up in certain areas is, you don't go poking around where you're not supposed to. And I've learned that. So for me personally, unless it's I know the lay of the land, I don't go poking around in areas I don't know, because there's strange stuff going on. And see, it's not just paranormal stuff, but you don't know what you're liable to walk into, walking around up in mountains you don't know nothing about. You could walk into an illegal drug operation, you could walk into all types of stuff. And there's obviously, if you look into it, there's a lot of people that go missing up in those mountains each year. So they'll try to say it's supernatural. And I mean, there are a good amount of disappearances. So it is very strange that people just go up in the mountains up there and they never come back. So with this particular video, what I would have, really thought would have been funny to see is if somebody would have pulled out a gun and just pointed it at him and said, hey, and then you would have seen that person tuck tail and run. Because if you would have pulled out a pistol and that person didn't move at all and did not leave the area, that would have been even more unsettling and just kept walking towards you. But it's always that, just like in the scary movies, the person most of the time never has a gun and they're off in the middle of nowhere or something. It's like, man, why do you not have a gun? Why do you not have some form of self-defense other than it's usually the baseball bat in the trunk or something? But where I come from, we always stay strapped. Okay, somebody's always got a gun on them, especially when you're trekking around up in the hills. I mean, I would never in a million years go walking around. Like I said, I'm not the person to do something like that, to go hiking around in areas I don't know. But even if I was to go camping, hiking, stuff like that, I'm going to have a gun on me. And see, it's not just for the supernatural reasons. I mean, if it's supernatural, what are you going to do? Shoot an entity of some sort? But it's for the other reasons. Like I said, you don't know who's up there. Wildlife, that's a big one. I mean, you get a mountain lion or something running towards you, that's not going to be a good situation. I've seen those videos online as well. And there's some weird stories that I've been told, though, about being up there. And there's one, if I can find the video, I'm going to post the video on here. There was a guy who was driving down the road and his dash cam picked it up. There was something that ran like he was driving around up in the Appalachian Mountain region, and there was something that came out of the woods, okay? And you could see it slightly on his cam. This guy, now this video, I believe, okay, if I find it, I got to post it in the comments. This guy, the blood-curdling scream that came out of this grown man, I'm telling you, me knowing acting and people, if he was not acting, this guy needs to get an Academy Award. He needs to be recognized for his acting in this video, because it makes your blood run cold, the scream that came out of this guy. Whatever he saw, and he floored it. And he said, in the video, he was explaining, this was afterwards, he explained in the video that when he posted it, that whatever this thing was, like, ran after him, like, really fast. It was still trekking after his car. And he said it was some sort of shape-shifting thing. I mean, there's all types of things, from what they call a Wendigo that can turn from a deer into a human. And to be completely honest with you, from my Native American background, the Native Americans have some of the craziest stories about supernatural stuff that you'll ever hear. And this stuff goes back to, people were drawn on caves. You see what I'm saying? So this is back before there was technology to even fake these kinds of videos and do stuff like that. So these type of stories have been around for a very, very long time, and even passed down through generations. But now, with cameras everywhere, I mean, your freaking phone's a camera. People got cameras all over the place. So they're going to catch more stuff on camera. And the videos are out there, some pretty disturbing videos that are out there. But like I said, what can you take to fact versus fiction? That's really what it comes down to. And that's another thing. Anybody that's got some stories to tell about their experiences up in the mountains up there in that region, I would love to hear about it. Send me a message, or even comment your stories in the comments would be great. But there's also something that I've heard about that it was a while back, because I've heard about this, and then I was researching it the other day, and I actually want to know more about this myself. I guess there's an anomaly in the Appalachian Mountains called the Brown Mountain Lights, to where there's these certain lights that people see, and they have yet to find out, even science, where they're coming from. So that's one of the most interesting things I found out up there, is these lights that even science can't explain. That's when it gets interesting, is when science is saying they have no explanation for where it's coming from. It makes you think even more. But there is something I can tell you, okay? I found this to be true because I've lived all over the country. I've been all over the country. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff. I've met a lot of wild characters. But I can tell you this. I know this to be true from what I've seen and what I've heard. Not going to go too much in depth on this for multiple reasons that I'm not going to get into. But there are underground bases that are all over the place. They're put into mountains. They're put all over the place. And you have a lot of federal land that's sectioned off that people aren't even allowed to be going into. They're not allowed to be camping in. And I'm going to be honest with you. It's because there's bases that are set up in these places. And in these bases, they do experiments. And the experiments they do, maybe they let stuff go or maybe things get out, if you know what I'm saying. So you never know, and it's kind of creepy to think about. So I would say to people that if you see something up in these mountains, it's one of two things. It's maybe one of these experiments that got loose, which I think is, possible. There's a lot of labs that have been exposed that before people knew nothing about. Montauk Project is one of those, the island over there in New York. They had all types of weird stuff going on up there. Things they couldn't identify washing up on shore in New York, and they were linking it to that. But there's also, like I said, bases inside of mountains in different regions of North America that you don't know anything about. And they're placed in different stuff. Like, people don't realize why you need permits to go into the Grand Canyon, and they make sure you take guides with you. There's a lot going on even with that. But in the Appalachian Mountains, I'm going to be honest with you, from a lot of the stuff I've heard from people that know their shit, there is stuff going on up there that you guys do not know about, and a lot of you don't want to know about. So when you see these stories about, like I said, shapeshifters and all these types of things, it's either one of two things. It has to do with these type of experiments that are going on, I believe. This is what I believe. Or it's demonic. We have to remember this. People go around and they're searching for things that go bump in the night. And I want to warn people against this, okay? You don't know what you're going to bring home with you, okay? And it doesn't come home to you always in the sense to where you bring something home and all of a sudden your house is haunted and doors are slamming and things are happening. No, you bring stuff home with you sometimes that it will present itself as mental illness, will present itself as, just bad stuff happening in your life. And I believe that that's absolutely demonic presence, because when you go inviting, you have to be careful what you invite into your life. And a lot of people are not careful of that at all. They unknowingly invite these type of entities and things into their life. That's why the people up there, from what I heard in Appalachian, from the people I'm told, excuse me, from what I'm told, they don't go screwing around with this stuff. They don't whistle at night, they said. You hear something call your name, you don't go near it. I heard about the screaming woman in the woods. You don't go near that. But see, that's for another reason, because bobcats, mountain lions and stuff, they can sound like a screaming woman. So you don't go in the woods, obviously, for multiple reasons when you hear something that sounds like a screaming woman at night. So there's multiple reasons for that. And like I obviously showed you, one of them is not supernatural. But I believe that that's where you get a lot of this paranormal stuff can be explained. You're inviting demonic, interdimensional beings into your life. And people don't even realize it. They do it unknowingly. And I'm going to explain to you a good little case of this, which is why I added this into the red files. Now, I'm going to put the link for this so you guys can check this out. But pretty much this goes into another thing. Now, I've heard about these being found up in that region, but this is something that's found all over the place, I've heard. But it's also found quite a bit up in the Appalachian region from what I've heard and from the story I'm about to tell you guys. And these are they're known as the staircases in the woods. If you guys, aren't familiar with what this is, there's a lot of crazy videos out there on this of people actually finding these things in the woods. Now, for people that know what it is, they say if you find a staircase in the woods, run. Don't go anywhere near it. Don't touch it. Stay far away from it. And the Park Service will tell you, oh yeah, it's because they can be dilapidated, and you don't want to go walking up them, and you end up getting hurt. But no, there's been stories of ones people have found that have been completely intact, and I'm talking looking like time has not touched them. And a lot of weird type of things that happen around these staircases that are in the woods. So essentially, they're just a staircase leading to nothing. Now, one story that I've heard, which was pretty disturbing, was there was a guy hiking up in the mountains in that Appalachian region, and he had found a staircase in the woods, and it was a pristine staircase. So it wasn't looking like, usually there'll be remnants. For anybody that's, like I said, I'm not a mountain hiker, but I spent a lot of time in the woods as a kid. And we used to walk upon all types of stuff. Like a big thing was old ruins. You'd find these old ruins, and then you'd see a chimney stack, or you'd find a staircase. And there's lots of instances of that. But this is a little different because this is like a pristine staircase that this guy found with his son. Now, what they say is what happens is if you walk up these staircases, when you come back down, you've in a sense lost time. There's part of time has been warped around you, and it's like you've lost time on your watch. You'll come out of there and it'll be later. Some people said they've went up and it's been day, and they come down and all of a sudden it's dark, and all types of weird stuff I've heard about it. But this story is actually a true story. So this guy was hiking in the woods with his son. He found a pristine staircase. He walked up the staircase, and I guess from what they understand is he explained it as he went deaf, in a sense, almost. It was almost like he went deaf and he couldn't hear. So he walked up the staircase, and when he had came back down, it was like him and his son had lost a perception of time, and they had actually lost time. So nothing seemed out of the ordinary. They ended up walking back out of the woods. And there's been people that have walked up these that I've actually heard too, stories about the ones that have found them, took pictures and stuff like that. They've actually taken back the same path that they had taken to get to where they were at in the woods. And they couldn't find their way out of the woods. They got lost. They ended up having to get rescued. And then the staircase they found wasn't even there. So it's some pretty weird supernatural stuff. But with this particular story, what's so unsettling about it is what had happened was the kid and the guy had went back home to his wife. Now the guy, slowly but surely over time, started to lose his mind. He started to get crazy. He started to not act like himself. And then ultimately, this guy ended up in prison because he murdered his whole family. And that's how the story came about. But it was documented with his friends. It was documented with other people. So that's why they find it to be a weird anomaly or situation, I would say, that this guy told all of his friends about this staircase, told them about this thing that had happened. The son had told everybody about it. And then all of a sudden, this guy, months and months and months later, after, slowly but surely deteriorating mentally, ends up murdering his whole family. So I find that pretty unsettling. So they say, you know, this is just one of the stories I've heard of stuff that's happened up in Appalachian. And honestly, like, I can make a 5-part series about the mysteries of Appalachian alone. And it just, the stories don't end that come in about Appalachian. And I've witnessed things of my own, like I said, there's stuff you find in the woods. There's things you see. Now, I've seen a lot of crazy stuff trekking through the woods where I grew up. There was old cemeteries that had been lost for hundreds of years that were just sitting off in the woods, which was very interesting to find. But one story that stuck with me was we had something they called the witch's ball. And what this was is, now everybody knows they have what they call a crybaby bridge. And this was the tale of what we had. These are all over the United States. The story's the same. And I found it because, see, the different states I've lived in, I found these bridges are all over the place. So there's a crybaby bridge everywhere. And they say some woman threw her baby off the bridge. And if you go there on either at midnight or Halloween night, or there's a variation of the stories, you'll hear the baby crying and you'll hear screams and stuff like that. So, but what was wild was there's actually one bridge in one state that I lived in that there was a very, very bad train accident that had happened back in the 1800s. And a lot, I think it was like over 100 people died. And they said if you go down there on Halloween night, there's some very weird stuff that goes on. But like I said, I was the type of person that we did all types of crazy stuff. Like, we thought we were the ghost hunting team back in the day. And we used to do crazy stuff because, like I said, I'll let you know this story. And then there's another interesting one that I have about this type of stuff. But yeah, so in order to, there's this thing that they called the witch's ball. Now, what it was this big ball tombstone that was in a cemetery, and it's very strange. Like I said, I've been all over. I've never seen anything like this. It's a big ball that has like a glow to it. It has this little like type of quartz stone in it or something, and it's very, very old. Like, this thing has to be ancient, and it's an unmarked grave. That's the weirdest thing, is it's a grave, but it's unmarked. So the legend has it, you know, and obviously, like I said, there's urban legends. People pass stuff down or whatever. The urban legend is a witch was killed long time ago. They found out this woman was doing black magic, so they killed her, and they planted her from her feet up. They planted her straight up. Now, the reasons behind that go for a million different reasons. They said they couldn't bury her in a Christian burial sense. They had to bury her standing up. So there's a lot of weird stuff that goes along with the story. Now, in order to get to this thing, you have to trek through the woods a little bit. And us being kids, they said you have to go there on Halloween night. That's when you see all types and hear all types of weird stuff. So me and a few of my friends went there, and we trekked back there, and it was pitch black. There's nobody around. We're walking all around, scoping the place out, you know, the woods surrounding it. And we noticed that there's nobody there. So we went there on Halloween night. Now, the tale has it, okay, if you touch the witch's ball on Halloween night, something bad is supposed to happen to you. Now, the strangest part of this story is, so we went out there Halloween night, like I said. The girls we had with us, it was my sister, my girlfriend, a bunch of different ones of us, my buddy, his girlfriend. There was a group of us that went out there, and they were afraid to even trek back there to go back there because it's one of those folklores, like, you don't go to the witch's ball at midnight, you just don't do it. So we talked them into it and said, look, if you guys don't go, we're going to go on our own, me and my sister's boyfriend. So we ended up going back there, and they ended up following us. So when we get there, they're all screwing around, and you know, me being the type of person I am, if you're in a graveyard, even whether it's nighttime, daytime, I show respect, okay? And even as a Christian, like the Bible says, do not speak ill of the dead. I have respect for graveyards, resting places of people that have died, so I don't go and screw around in graveyards and do stupid stuff. I'll go there, you know, because just more out of, you know, it's interesting to go to graveyards and see the dates and stuff like that, especially old graveyards. I used to find interesting. So we went there, we found the witch's ball, because I had never been there myself, and this is when I was younger. I think I was like maybe 16 or 17. So we went there, and it was very foreboding. Like it was kind of creepy, and I'll put it this way. This was coming from a kid, okay? I was fearless when I was younger. You know, I really was not scared of shit. I really was not. And it took a lot to scare me. And I wasn't, so I was the type, if I was feeling unsettled somewhere, something's off. It was just a very off feeling about this place and about that ball, like when I seen it, because it was this big stone ball. It was so weird. That was an actual headstone. It was humongous and very old. You could just tell like how the what is it, the growth on it and stuff like that is just very, very old. So my sister's boyfriend gets the great idea that he's going to test the theory, and he goes and touches this ball. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And he touches the ball, and I'm like, man, I don't even feel like I want to ride home with you after doing that. And I guess he was being smart and making fun of it and stuff like that. So the crazy part about this is, literally, without us realizing, 6 months later, because that's what the thing said, is that's another thing I remember, because there was this dude who knew all about it. He said he know people that went there and had stuff happen to them. So that's what it was. So supposedly 6 months later, roughly, about 6 months later, you're supposed to have something happens to somebody or the person who touches it. So we're all out four-wheeling, and my sister's boyfriend was like, we all used to four-wheel, so we had like 4 or 5 four-wheelers. We're riding around on the roads, and I got this really weird intuition or discernment, like this feeling just came over me. And I was like, you know what, man, because he was trying to jump on the back of my four-wheeler, wanted to ride on it. I says, man, I don't think you should ride, you know, on the back of my four-wheeler. I just got this bad feeling. And he's like, oh, no, come on, man. Come on, let me ride on the back. And I'm like, no, man, something's telling me I don't think you should. And he's like, no, man, let me. So what I do is I try to take off without him. He jumps on the back. So they're following behind. So we're all flying down the road. And I'm yelling at him like, man, I told you not to ride on the back. I told you not to ride on the back of the four-wheeler. So we're riding, and we're coming up to this turn that hooks really hard right in the road. And this is all out in farmland, fields. So it's a whole field in front of us where this road hooks. So I go to turn, and I can't turn. I was maybe going about 40-something miles an hour, and I go to turn, and my wheels, because he was on the back, were coming off the ground just a little bit, enough to where I couldn't pull the front brakes. Now me, in such a panic, I should have known to hit that foot brake. That right foot brake on the four-wheeler. Like people that ride four-wheelers know you have that foot brake for your back tires. I was going so fast, everything happened so fast that I didn't hit that foot brake. We hit the ditch. Now this ditch went down easily like 3 feet deep. It was a deep ditch. So we hit this ditch. Now, this is one, I've made the episode about where I told you guys about the many times that I've almost died. And this was one of them. And I believe I talked about that talked about this on that episode. But this is one of the few times that my life literally flashed before my eyes. And I learned what that means when your life flashes before your eyes. And it's like your whole world plays. And you're like, and you get that, oh shit, I'm dead. Like that feeling. Because I was absolutely like, I'm dead. I'm not going to survive this. There's no way. So I hit this ditch head on, and there was from the people behind me that were watching to the woman that was in her house watching. I know what happened because I felt it, but seeing this must have been insane, like watching it from a house that was right there and seeing it happen. So I hit this ditch head on, went flying in the air. I had to be, it felt like 15, 20 feet off the ground, flying midair, flipping. Now, this is hard to believe, but I shouldn't, I'm not going to swear, because like the Bible says, don't swear by anything by heaven or earth. I'm not going to swear, but you got to trust me on this. Okay. I was flying, rotating in the air, and this four-wheeler ended up landing on me. Okay. I rolled and then rolled right up top. Like I rolled right back upright. Now I remember I was in such shock that I didn't want to move. I literally thought my neck or something was broken, and if I moved, my head was going to like fall off. It was the creepiest, weirdest feeling ever. But way off in the field, because he got thrown, was my sister's boyfriend, and he's freaking screaming. So I'm like, all of a sudden I moved, and I'm looking, and I'm like, okay, I'm okay. I literally walked away without a scratch on me. That I do not understand how it didn't I don't know how I didn't break a finger, a hand, an arm, something. I do not know how that didn't happen, but to be honest with you, I know how that happened. It's the only explanation I have is God. God absolutely protected me. So I run over to where my sister's boyfriend's at, and he's like holding his leg, and he's freaking out. His leg, when I went over to him, shifted back in his boot. It's one of the, I was like, oh man, when I seen this. So his leg completely snapped off of his foot, and they had to life flight him to the hospital. But it was later on that we were talking, and my sister, I think, was the one who brought it up. She says, wait a second, what's the month? It was literally almost 6 months to the day of when he touched that witch's ball. And we all thought about it, and literally I got like my blood like ran cold. I was like, that was so creepy and weird. And I'll never forget that he had, and his leg was bad. Like he had to get a whole bunch of pins put in it. They took him to one hospital and had to life flight him to another one, because they weren't even equipped at that hospital to fix his leg, I guess. But it was pretty crazy. And like I said, I've seen weird stuff like that happen. Now, like I said, coincidence, maybe, but weird nonetheless. So there's been some strange stuff that I've witnessed. And see, I could sit here all day and tell you guys supernatural stories that have happened from stuff like that. But you find some crazy, weird stuff off in these areas, from these mountain regions to the woods to, I remember we went, and this is something straight out of a horror movie. We went to an abandoned insane asylum. Or no, it wasn't an insane asylum. It was it was an insane asylum. It was an abandoned insane asylum that was in the woods. And we went there on Halloween night because, like I said, as we were crazy, we used to do this shit all the time when we were kids. We went out there on Halloween night, and it was like hours from where we lived. We drove out there. But we had no idea that it was in the woods. So we drive to where it's at, to where it took us to. And it took us to a dirt path with like a gate thing by it. And it was mainly me and a friend of mine, and the rest was girls. And they were like, we're not going back there. And we're like, me and my friend were like, well, we didn't drive all the way out here for nothing. We're going back there. And we were, drinking a little bit at the time. So, we had that liquor courage. So we were like, we're going back there and we're going to check it out. We didn't come all the way out here for nothing. So we go back there, and then the girls ended up following us, and they're okay, we'll go back there too. So we trekked back into the woods, And this was wild because when we got back there, it was a whole field had opened up, right? This shit looked like something totally out of a horror movie. It was like a 4-story. I gotta find the picture of this place because I heard they tore it down. But it was just sprawling. Dead out, looked like a mental institution. Like it looked like I told you, it looked like something out of a horror movie. And like it blew your mind because all you could see was this humongous mental hospital in the middle of the woods. And like I said, it wasn't just like some big home looking place. It was like concrete walled, like 4 stories or so, and it was just sprawling. And you could only see it through the moonlight that was shining on this building. So a lot of it was boarded up. We're like, how are we going to get in there? So I remember we walked around the side and we opened this thing and we're going to walk in, and I'm shining lights in there. And I had I had like a little video camera that I was filming stuff with. Oh yeah, what am I talking about? I'm going like this. Well, no, it was like one of those little mini DV cameras that we used to have back in the day. So I'm filming, and it was crazy. Like when the area we walked in, it was completely like an old waiting room, and it had all the old retro seats, those bucket bubble seats that go in, and it was just wild to see this place. And yeah, it was like something that was perfectly preserved in time that everything was left in. So we're walking around in there, and we hear out of nowhere, this is crazy. So we're standing over there, we're walking around trying to truck our way around different parts because we went in this one area. We seen this like reception desk and all that stuff. So we come outside, we hear a blood-curdling scream off in the woods. Okay? Now, was it somebody screwing around? Possibly. You know what I mean? There could have been other people out there that night. And maybe there could have even been houses on the other end, because I know they were on the other end, but they weren't. I don't know about that end. So it was probably somebody, enough people go out there. Maybe they screw with people that come out there or whatever. But man, I've never seen girls run faster in my life to when they heard that scream. They took off down that dirt path. And me and my buddy, like, we're kind of laughing about it because we're like, yeah, you know, it's whatever. I mean, we're not. So we truck after them, but yeah, there's, like I said, I've seen some very strange and weird stuff going out, and I could sit here all day. I'll honestly have to do an episode about some of the places I've explored, because I gotta find some of the footage I had from it. I wanna show some footage along with it so you guys can see. But yeah, that's why, I mean, I've stayed away from going to these types of places, and especially from what I heard, and I mean, these are people that live in the Appalachian Mountains that said they don't go out at night. They don't go, you know, if you hear your name called at night. And there was a real creepy video I seen where somebody was saying the guy's name. It sounded like it was right in his backyard, and he said, oh, screw this, and he went in and shut the door. So they call them mimics that you're supposed to hear out there. And supposedly it'll call your name. So like I said, you hear screaming in the woods for multiple reasons. You don't go investigate. You hear something call your name. You don't go looking for what it is. And from what I heard, there's like skinwalkers that are like 12 feet tall out there that have like long fingers, and they've seen some weird stuff off in the woods. But the videos I've seen are, you know, fun in a sense to watch. I don't know how many are actually real. Maybe a lot of them are. I don't know. But I do know this. You don't go screwing around with, there are dark entities, okay? So if you're a Christian, and see, even for people that aren't religious, you've experienced this type of stuff. That should be for people to understand there's more going on than what meets the eye, because a lot of people have experienced this one way or another. Something supernatural or weird that's happened. But in Appalachian, people know better than to go screwing around with stuff in the woods, or to go hiking up there alone, or to do any of that type of stuff, because a lot of people go missing and a lot of weird stuff happens up there. But that's why I would say, to be honest with you, that's why, like, there was people that wanted me to go to these types of areas nowadays, or haunted places, stuff, where I won't screw with none of that, because God tells me not to. He tells me not to go between, whether it's divination or screwing around with spiritual stuff. You're not supposed to do that. So, you know, I did it as a kid. We had some fun, but it's, you know, I don't go screwing around with, you know, stuff like that, with dark stuff, because I'm telling you, like I'd said, what if it manifests as a mental illness? What if, you know, you just end up not being the same anymore? You end up later down the line with, you know, things that are around you that you're bringing into your life. So me personally, I choose to stick with God. I choose to, as the show, you know, says, I bring you the darkness so that you can see the light. Because a lot of people, that's what did it for me, to be honest with you. And that's one of the reasons I started the show, was the dark things of the world, me seeing them and witnessing them for myself, is what made me realize, like George Clooney had said in Dusk Till Dawn, when they were fighting those vampires, they were locked in those rooms, and he's like, if those things out there are from hell, and I'm pretty sure they are, there's got to be a heaven, Jacob. There's got to be. So that's like what happened to me. I've seen so many scary, weird, demonic, dark things in my life that it made me cling so close to God and get closer to Jesus Christ in my life. And I'm thankful for that. So that's why, essentially, like I said, I started the show, because I wanted people to be able to be exposed to the darkness around them, because people want to act like this is all a fairy tale and that, you know, all of this stuff is make-believe. It's not. And only when you experience these crazy, weird, dark things in this world do you open your eyes to what's really going on, and that the only hope that we have in the end is, unless we want to live in darkness for eternity, we find the light that is in Jesus Christ.